The black sands of Iwo Jima were still soaked in blood when a small platoon from Easy Company began their climb. Step by step, they scaled the steep, volcanic slopes of Mount Suribachi, every shadow a potential ambush, every gust of wind carrying the echo of gunfire. Below them, the battle still raged. Artillery thundered, machine guns chattered, and men fought for every inch of ground. At 10:30 a.m., they reached the summit. The air was thin, the view stretched across the island and over the smoking ruins of war. Then, from a pack, a folded piece of cloth emerged. Stars and stripes. The men raised the flag, the steel pipe trembling in the wind. From the beaches below, Marines erupted in cheers. Navy ships offshore blasted their horns. Across the chaos, a wave of hope swept the battlefield. Hours later, 6 Marines returned with a larger flag, one that could be seen from sea and sky. As they hoisted it into place, a single shutter click froze the moment in history. That image would outlive them all, for 3 of those men would be dead within days. This was more than a flag, it was victory, still far from won. In the middle of the vast Pacific, Iwo Jima was just a speck, 21 square kilometers of volcanic rock. But to the war planners of 1945, it was a jewel of strategy. American B-29 bombers, flying from Saipan, rained fire on Japan. But one mechanical failure, one burst of flak, could doom them to the ocean. Iwo Jima was the answer, an emergency runway, a forward base, and a dagger pointed straight at Tokyo. The Japanese knew it. They called it Sulphur Island, and they were determined to keep it. From its high cliffs, they could spot enemy fleets. From its runways, they could launch deadly air sorties against the U.S. Navy. For the Americans, capturing Iwo Jima would mean crippling Japan's air defenses and saving thousands of bomber crews. For the Japanese, losing it meant opening the gates to the home islands. On maps, it looked small. In reality, it would become one of the bloodiest battlefields of the Pacific War. October 18, 1944. Admiral Chester Nimitz gives the order, Iwo Jima will be taken. The 5th Amphibious Corps, 3 Marine divisions strong, is assigned the task. Their mission? Land on the southern beaches, sweep north, and seize both airfields, and the looming Mount Suribachi. Over 450 U.S. Navy ships gather for the assault, forming a steel armada stretching to the horizon. Battleships, cruisers, destroyers, carriers, all ready to unleash hell. The plan is straightforward, on paper. 3 days of bombardment to crush the defenses. Then, waves of Marines will storm ashore, supported by tanks, artillery, and amphibious vehicles. Naval guns and aircraft will provide covering fire, hitting any position that dares to resist. But intelligence reports paint a grim picture. 20,000 Japanese soldiers are dug in, under the command of a man known for never surrendering, Lieutenant General Tadamichi Kuribayashi. The Marines know the truth. The plan might be simple, but the battle will be anything but. Lieutenant General Tadamichi Kuribayashi knew he could not stop the Americans at the beaches. Instead, he would make Iwo Jima a tomb for anyone who set foot on it. Under his orders, 20,000 Japanese soldiers spent months carving a hidden world beneath the island. Over 18 kilometers of tunnels connected bunkers, pillboxes, and artillery positions. Concrete walls 2 meters thick shielded machine guns that overlapped in deadly fields of fire. Caves concealed mortars and anti-tank guns, invisible until they struck. Every approach was marked. Every landing zone was targeted. The plan was simple: let the Americans come ashore, then cut them down. Kuribayashi forbade wasteful banzai charges. His men were to stay hidden, conserve ammunition, and only fire when the enemy was fully exposed. He knew there would be no reinforcements, no evacuation. His orders to the garrison were absolute: fight to the last man. Above ground, Iwo Jima looked silent. Below, an army waited, ready to erupt in fire and steel. February 16, 1945, the horizon erupted in flame. From 8 a.m., U.S. battleships and cruisers unleashed a thunderous bombardment. Carrier aircraft dove again and again, dropping bombs and rockets into the black volcanic earth. For 3 days, the Americans pounded the island. To observers offshore, it seemed impossible for anything to survive. Yet deep inside their tunnels, Japanese troops waited unharmed. Kuribayashi had predicted this. He knew the bombardment would destroy surface positions, but leave his underground network intact. Every man was ordered to stay hidden, endure the shaking earth, and prepare for the real battle. When the last shell fell and the last plane turned away, the island lay in smoking ruin. Marines looked through binoculars and saw no movement. They thought the bombardment had worked. They were wrong. February 19, 1945. D-Day for Iwo Jima. Marines from the 4th and 5th Divisions climbed down nets into landing craft. Amphibious tractors churned through the surf, heading for beaches marked green, red, yellow, and blue. At first, it was quiet. Too quiet. They scrambled ashore, sinking ankle-deep in hot volcanic ash. The sand slowed every step, exhausting the men. Still, no shots. Then, at 9 a.m., the mountain erupted. From hidden bunkers, machine guns tore into the landing zones. Mortars and artillery rained down, smashing men and machines alike. Landing craft exploded in the shallows, tanks bogged down, artillery got stuck, and men were cut down trying to free them. The beach became a killing ground. There was no safe place to hide, only the black sand, the smoke, and the bodies. Mount Suribachi dominated the southern end of the island, a volcanic fortress overlooking the landing beaches. From its slopes, Japanese gunners had perfect sightlines to slaughter the Marines below. The 5th Marine Division was ordered to take it. For days, they fought upward through caves and pillboxes, using flamethrowers, satchel charges, and tanks to clear every nest of resistance. Each cave had to be sealed with fire and explosives. By February 23rd, the mountain was surrounded. That morning, a small group from Easy Company began the climb. The wind howled, the ground stank of sulfur, and every rock could hide an enemy. At 10:30 a.m., they reached the top and raised the first American flag. The beaches below erupted in cheers. Hours later, 6 Marines returned with a larger flag. A photographer captured the moment. A single click of the shutter that would outlive them all. 3 of those men would be dead within days. While Suribachi fell, the battle in the north grew worse. The 3rd and 4th Divisions pushed toward airfields 1 and 2, then up onto the northern plateau. There they met some of the island's deadliest defenses: Hill 382, the amphitheater, and Turkey Knob. These positions were fortresses of rock and steel. Japanese gunners fired from bunkers invisible until they opened fire, then sealed themselves behind heavy doors. Marines attacked every day, only to be thrown back. One sector became known simply as the meat grinder. The name said it all. Entire companies were chewed up in the assault, advancing only meters at a time. After a week of relentless fighting, artillery failed to break the defenses. Finally, commanders ordered an attack without preparatory fire, and the Marines surged forward, overrunning the positions in brutal hand-to-hand combat. By mid-March, Kuribayashi's forces were shattered, split into isolated pockets. Yet they refused to surrender. At night, they emerged from tunnels to raid U.S. lines, killing and disappearing before dawn. On March 26th, before the end, 500 Japanese soldiers launched one final attack. Slipping through the darkness, they struck at a rear-area camp near the airfield, killing and wounding dozens. Montford Point Marines, African-American troops, fought them off in savage close-quarters combat. By morning, the attackers were dead. Kuribayashi himself had fallen. His final message to Tokyo was simple: "I have done my duty. Farewell." March 27, 1945. Iwo Jima was declared secure. The cost was staggering. Over 24,000 U.S. Marines killed, wounded, or missing in just 36 days. Of the 20,000 Japanese defenders, only about 200 were taken prisoner. The island's airfields quickly became a lifeline. In the months that followed, thousands of damaged B-29 bombers made emergency landings here, saving over 20,000 American airmen. For the Marines who survived, Iwo Jima was more than a battle. It was a crucible, a place where courage and sacrifice reached their highest and most terrible peak. The flag on Suribachi would forever remind the world of what it cost to win. The Battle of Iwo Jima was more than a clash of armies. It was a test of endurance, courage, and sacrifice. On its black sands, thousands gave everything they had, knowing the cost, yet refusing to turn back. The flag atop Suribachi became a symbol not only of victory, but of the price paid for freedom. Today we remember both sides. The Marines who fought their way across the island, and the Japanese defenders who held their ground to the last. Iwo Jima stands as a reminder. Some victories are measured not in miles, but in lives.